Why? She didn't like it, but she told us kids to talk about it. You tell anybody
Ooh.
you're going to be orphans. You're going to lost your mom. But the horrible parts of the story are still Haley. She would do something.
Wow.
Shot my mom in the back of the head when she was young. I said, run, bitch, run. She cried. She was crying. What about the kids? What about the babies? You got me. Sorry. That was her last thought. Not about herself. About us kids. This is my dad, circa 1968. Time he shot my mom. And he's got his .22 caliber, one of his favorite rifles. And he was deadly accurate. He loved to shoot all the time. He was always taking my mom out. This is one of his favorite spots. This may have very well been the same rifle that he used to kill my mom. This is the same year. Could be the same rifle and maybe the same location. This might have been the very last thing that she saw before he killed her. This picture gives me the creeps. It disgusts me to look at that photograph.
There might be people watching that will say, I still don't understand why you didn't go to the police yourself.
That's not real. That's not real life. We thought about the chain of events that would happen. We don't have a body. All he's going to do is say, no, she ran off. I told you guys back in 1968. Snitches, in his mind, don't deserve to live. And if you snitch on him, you're as good as dead. And you're a child and you're going to put that target on your back? You just got to suck it up. You know that you're dealing with a homicidal monster at that point. He's capable of killing you at the drop of a hat. Imagine living with a person that killed your parent. And you have to stay there until you're old enough to get out.
We deserve a real king. Because if he cannot protect his own family, how is he supposed to protect us?
It's just a taste bud. The old man's not gonna help us anymore. I'm gonna do this myself. Fine. Flex your muscles.
This is the bravest thing I've ever done in my life. We have been waiting for this day for so long.
It's the season of love.
You don't get no better than this.
The original love story, 90 Day Fiancé, now streaming on Discovery Plus.
A day in the life of being Silas Dwayne Boston's son. Every day was different. depending on his mood. It's like the weather, you never knew what to expect. We were just little kids, but he would terrorize us psychologically. Sometimes I think it leaves deeper scars. Certain things stay with you for life. I remember my dad being really attracted to gory things. He was an EMT. He actually did something at that point, which was legitimate and helping people. But he kept this scrapbook when he was an EMT. And the coroner would take pictures, I guess. These old black and whites of people that had died in horrible ways. And I remember particularly this one old guy had hung himself in his backyard, and his eyes were bulging out, and his tongue was out.
Look at his face.
He enjoyed looking at stuff like that. Dad was really proud of showing these pictures, like old trophies. He reminded me of like a kid that wants to show you his piggy bank and how many coins he's collected, or maybe some bugs that he has. It's very fascinating to him. I mean, it's like I don't want to see anymore. I've had enough. Thanks, but no thanks. And he would laugh. He would say, "Oh, like I was too squeamish." It was all part of his personality of really craving and being excited by violence and murder and death. He tired really quick of working for the man, especially since he had his kids. That was a constant, monthly supply of welfare and food stamps. He was just like, well, why work? I can just get stoned and drunk and party, which is what I want to do. And he decided to supplement the family's income with bringing in what he calls tapping. I remember one time he brought home this giant jar of pennies. You know those water cooler jugs? Heavy. Filled with pennies and dimes and nickels. Sorting the pennies out was just something that was expected of us kids to do. At the time, didn't really think of it as stolen goods. Him and his buddy, they come in laughing and bragging about how they broke into this old lady's house and tied her up, and they were wearing these rubber Halloween masks. They thought that she was having a heart attack, but the way he was talking about it, they were laughing and didn't give a she lived or died. I guess it was a good haul for them, jewelry and whatnot. It was a kind of a party atmosphere to them. I thought, this is really horrible. I felt like an outsider, that I did not want to participate in these certain things. My dad would feel like, what's wrong with you? You should be enjoying this. This is cool, fun stuff. I was a disappointment in his eyes. He doesn't have this thing called compassion or guilt. He knows it's wrong, but it's a game to him. It wasn't just all black and white. It was some gray there, and it was hard. It's hard to just hate somebody. He wasn't a monster all the time. He hates Christmas. It's like the original Grinch. He'd never buy us really Christmas presents. He'd just give us money and say, yeah, go buy whatever. But this one year, it's kind of emotional for me, but he, sorry, haven't thought about this in a while. He actually bought us toys that year, It was, remember those old Viewmasters? We didn't have any Christmas wrapping, so he wrapped it up in a paper bag. And, sorry. You know, as kids, you know, you want to sneak and find out what you got. And so I was like opening the bag, and he was mad that I found out what we were going to get. It was like, you're not really the Grinch. You really care about Christmas. I mean, why would you care about, you know, that we're peaking? It's like what a normal dad would do. And sorry, that was one of my favorite Christmases of all time because he showed a side of him that was human and that cared about how we felt as kids. I gotta take a break. Sometimes he'll bring in a girlfriend and things would mellow out for a while because he was in charming mode. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type thing. So you have these waves and cycles of him going through these weird personality changes. He had a girlfriend and she had a couple of daughters. They decided that they were going to come live with us as a family. I remember Dad had stolen a bunch of Christmas toys. They were like I think they were in the garage or something. This girlfriend at the time said, hey, just between you and me, did your dad steal those toys? And she's like, you can tell me, you can trust me. Yeah, he stole those toys. Maybe a day later, I said, did you tell her this and that? You know, you tell her I stole those toys? I go, no. And I was like, oh my God, she betrayed me. He grabbed me by the throat and started choking me and then lifted me up and smashed my head into the drywall. And I mean, I'm choking, I couldn't breathe. I'm turning blue, and no one's helping me. I'm dead. I know I'm dead. So he was mad that I told on him about the toys. I was a snitch, and it almost got me killed by confiding in somebody that I trusted. Life lesson, don't trust anybody. Keep your mouth shut.
About time me and you was introduced.
Keep your head held high, just like Mom taught us. You got to stand up. All I have is my sister. Someday we're gonna meet again. We need to look like we belong.
Time for you to see the world. Drinks on the house.
I'm very excited.
Let's get after it. What made now the time to renovate?
He's deploying. The house is the last thing they have to worry about.
8 inches of water underneath this house.
What's that?
A lot of termites. There's a lot of memories in our house, but as our kids have grown, the spaces don't work.
And I now have new appreciation for our homeowners. Very emotional.
Pixar to Fabulous. Stream now on Discovery Plus.
From my perspective, when I was younger, I knew something was wrong, but it's nothing you could really change. You normalize things. But when you get older and start to realize this is not normal, this is the opposite, it's abnormal. Late 77. My brother and I were sharing a bedroom and woke up in the middle of the night and heard some really unsettling sounds. It sounded like a young girl crying and whimpering, "Dwayne, no, stop, please. Dwayne, no." Over and over and over. Both of us knew better than to go in there. The next morning, a friend of my dad's came out for breakfast. They were talking about the night before and the girl. And I said, "Hey, yeah, that's right. I heard some really weird noises last night. Sounded like a girl was crying. What was that all about?" My father's like, "I don't really remember," kind of playing off like he's blacked out or something. As soon as we were away from his friend, he's like, "Dummy up, don't talk about what happened." Dummy up means shut up, don't talk. Pretend like you're deaf, dumb, and mute. From very early on, Dad had certain rules. We learned these lessons at an early age. The bad guy was the big guy. Cops were pigs. Being a criminal was cool. And probably the number one rule is there's nothing worse than a snitch. And he's showed us that in many ways. Stay out of the way. My dad found out they were going to press charges. But he just... This is Chris and Pete Top. Chris Farmer, Peter Johnson. This was before we met him. Maybe after they started their vacation. He was a doctor. She was an attorney. They just recently graduated. This was one leg of their journey of a world trip. They had started in England and made it to Australia and working their way through Mexico. And then they crossed paths with my dad at Lee's. We were in Lee's, newly, freshly built sailboat. They decided to come on board and hire us to take them to down south to Royalton, Honduras. Unfortunately, they never got there. This is where we lived for several months on board this fishing boat, sailboat. My brother and blonde kid. And this is Chris Farmer. This was in 1978. They became part of the crew, especially Chris. He wanted to learn how to sail. He was manning the boat, the tiller. He wanted to know how to navigate, all these things. He was down for everything. Whereas Peta was a little bit more quiet and resigned herself to the galley and cooking, that sort of thing, writing letters. At this point, things were peaceful and having a great time. His happy dad came back, the charming dad that he could be, to impress the new guests. But it wasn't long until the mood changed. When we'd be out at long stretches sailing, he would drink this Jamaican rum drink. Then he would get abusive when he would drink. He had my brother pull up the anchor, and he went up there and clocked him and started beating the crap out of him. Chris and Pita said, "Stop. That's enough. He's a kid. Leave him alone." My dad was all drunk and, "Don't you tell me about my kids," and tried to take a swing at Chris. So Dad missed him. He was just fuming. He was very humiliated, and that's when things really changed. I think.
No, let's watch this in
You
Japanese.
could see it in his eyes. You could see the storm brewing. We knew that the party was over. They kind of knew that he didn't want them on the boat anymore. Said something about offing them. He wanted to get them off, and we just thought he meant get them off the boat. In hindsight, it was easy to see that he'd been planning this for weeks and premeditating, plotting, planning every single detail, and setting up this murder far in advance.
This is the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. We have been waiting for this day for so long.
Sneaks behind him. Takes his baton, cracks him
ウェ
inside
イン
the
作
head.
詞と作曲どっち先にするの？
And then he keeps over and over. Cooking or whatever she was doing back there. And